And speaking of a land of confusion, we are here to talk about Microsoft Fabric. Causes a lot of confusion for people, and in this episode we're going to talk all about capacity. What is it? How do you purchase it? What are the options available to you? All of those kind of details we're going to get into in this episode. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Drums and Data. If you're new here, I am Andy with Integrity Data Insights, and I perform a song on the drums, and we talk about a data topic. So today, I performed the song Land of Confusion by the band Genesis off their 1986 album Invisible Touch. So this is part 2 of a 3-part series, so you can find the other videos linked below as well if you want to check those out. But today, we're talking all about capacity. So let's get in and get started. So to understand capacity, I want to take it to some tangible objects in the real world that all of us are familiar with. So here you have a car engine, you have some electrical power lines, and you also have a water tower here. So let's take the car example. So when you get in your car, you can only go so far, whether it's gas or electric. You only have so much range, right? You can only travel so far before you're out of energy, right? You're either out of gas or you have to charge the battery, those kind of things. And also, not all cars are going to be able to travel at the same, acceleration, the same speed. Some of them are going to go much faster than others. A Ferrari's going to go much faster than my older minivan, for example. And those same analogies hold true with electricity and with water. So capacity is the ability to handle a certain amount of demand. So what does capacity mean when it comes to Microsoft Fabric? Well, if you recall from our previous slide here, all of these different things underneath the surface that need to be done. And as you can imagine, they all require resources or energy or capacity to get them done. So Microsoft will sell you capacity to handle all these different elements between bringing in data and cleaning data and, allowing users to explore the data with data notebooks or writing, custom queries, those kind of things. Having dashboards in Power BI, AI, all these different things can all run off Microsoft capacity. So this visual shows you kind of the old versus the new way. On the old world, a lot of the pricing was based on users, number of users, and some of it was based on how much data was moving. Some of it was based on computing time, all those different things. With Fabric, they've tried to greatly simplify that, and for the most part, if you have enough capacity, it can handle all of these different elements between visualization, moving data around, storing data, data science, all of that. There is definitely still the concept of transactional and user-based pricing. It hasn't gone away, but it's definitely simplified under the Fabric umbrella. So here's a screenshot that I took from the Microsoft website, and you can see there's different SKUs depending on how much capacity you need. So it ranges all the way from $262 a month all the way north of $33,000 and then some. There were ones that I didn't even show on here that were available as well for very large capacity offerings. This is for the East region, and this is, as of July 2026. There also will be some other charges that your organization will incur if you use Fabric. One of them is Power BI licenses specific for creators. So the people that are creating the reports, you still need separate licenses for those. Depending on the SKU, you also will need some to pay for some of the user level licenses. But as it gets up, depending on the SKU level, some of those are included with the monthly charges. You also have to pay transactionally for some of the storage and some other databases and things that are outside of kind of the Fabric ecosystem. So I want to point out a couple interesting things with capacity-based pricing that you really kind of have to wrap your head around. It's essentially deciding in advance what you expect to need. So for Microsoft Fabric and all those different, data jobs and things, you essentially have to kind of know in advance what you're going to need. So think of it another way. Imagine if, you had to kind of predict how much electricity you would use, before the month started, without fear of running out, right? You don't want it running out when you're, it's a hot Sunday afternoon and there's nobody in the office to contact, right? So you'd probably err on the side of caution and have more than you needed. And a couple other things to point out here, the Fabric meter, the cost is running, so to speak, as long as that capacity is available for your organization. Even if not a single job is running, even if no user's running a report, you're getting billed for that capacity because it is available. Finally, the capacity is use it or lose it. You can't carry it over to the next month. If you pay for a block of capacity, you're not going to be able to, if you didn't use that much of it, you're not going to be able to get any money back after that month has passed. So as you can imagine, understanding your lifeline, which is your capacity, how much you're using, things like that, is going to be critically important for your organization. So Microsoft does have several things that you can do to evaluate that as time is going on. One of them is their Fabric Capacity Metrics app. And you can see there's all kinds of details that you can get from this application about what's using the capacity, at what times is it using it, is there any kind of overage or things like that. And you can really start to plan for your needs for how you're using this capacity, and if you need more or if you have too much. Those kind of things can all be answered by digging into a tool like this. One other tool available on Microsoft's website is this called the Fabric Estimator. So you can kind of see what SKU you need based on all these different things. So, based on how much data I think I have, how many daily batch cycles, what are we going to be using? Are we doing, Power BI, all these different things. Once you fill all this out, based on what I filled out, it says I think you need F64. And, you can tweak these numbers a little bit like a, financial or retirement calculator, right? If you change the assumptions, then, you can get a different result here. But this can be super helpful with your planning in how much capacity that you will need. Well, that does it for another episode of Drums and Data. I hope this answered some of your questions around capacity and cleared up some of that confusion for you. Once again, I am Andy with Integrity Data Insights, and stay tuned. We have one more episode in this series where we talk about data governance and how Microsoft Fabric plays in the data governance space. So stay tuned for that. If you have data confusion in your business that I can help with, I'd love to talk to you. Head to my website, integritydi.com. Click on the Schedule a Consultation link, and I'd love to talk to you and help clear up that confusion. Take care, everyone.